Everywhere I look, it seems that consistency is one of the most recommended things that people suggest when it comes to building habits, working on your creativity, working on YouTube, working on your business, relationships, like literally everything. It seems like consistency is the way to go. And I keep asking myself, why can't I be consistent? Why can't I post YouTube videos more regularly? Why can't I wake up at the same time? It's something that I have struggled with for my entire life. And it's one of the areas that I want to improve on. I have this habit of waiting for someone else to tell me like what to do, when I should do it, what's a good idea, which of course is just an issue with intrinsic motivation and lacking self-worth, self-value, self-prioritization. After one of our weekly Creator Coalition Mastermind calls, one of the topics we had that week was around consistency. And for myself, I wanted to incorporate consistency when it comes to YouTube in the amount of effort I'm putting into creating videos and at the regularity at which I'm actually posting. It's actually more about the discipline and the routine for myself because I want to build these sort of habits in myself, and these YouTube videos are just going to be a vehicle for which to build that. If I can become consistent at this, then it's going to start trickling off into other areas that I could become more consistent in. And in this video, I just want to share a few of the quick mindset shifts that I'm taking into the year moving forward in terms of consistency and the tangible steps that I'm walking away with after this video to work on becoming more consistent. So for myself, I would say that the biggest reason or the biggest root of my inability to be consistent is that I just don't have a sense of intrinsic value or intrinsic motivation because I'm constantly looking outside of myself for some support in being consistent. I'm getting validation from people or situations outside of myself instead of recognizing that, hey, I want to make this video, or hey, I want to work on doing things weekly, or hey, I want to be able to go to sleep on time and wake up on a regular basis. Because I don't have that intrinsic motivation, that intrinsic sense of value, that I'm constantly seeking that outside of myself, and that's not a very reliable, consistent source of motivation and inspiration and value and all the things. So as a result, I'm not able to actually prioritize things and like say yes to this and no to that, or ability to decide and prioritize within myself. Like all of this is essentially cultivating more of that intrinsic prioritization, intrinsic value, and this sense of like internal commitment. The more that I keep asking others or getting validation from the outside, the less likely I'm actually going to build these habits for myself because I'm not really valuing this person to get validation and approval from. And I would argue that the biggest reason I'm not moving forward in the ways that I want to in my life is that I'm not having a good relationship with myself. So at this stage, I want to avoid asking people for what they want to see me make on the YouTube channel, or what type of schedules are good schedule to have, or how often should I release. Like these are all questions I should be asking myself first. So right now I'm just kind of like digging and uncovering these elements for myself so that I can develop this intrinsic sense of value, intrinsic motivation, starting to develop and uncover more of myself. And that's another big part, is that I need to discover my own voice first. And I'm distracting it with all of these other things and worrying about what other people might think, or trying to get so many ideas from the outside that I'm not actually cultivating any sense of like self. So I want to avoid that by not asking anyone, just kind of doing my own thing and starting to uncover more of who I am and what my voice is, and what I want and what I don't like, and like all of these things. I need to discover and uncover that. And it's through this process that I'll get better clarity on what I actually want to make. I'll start to build more confidence and competence in what I'm doing. I'll be able to communicate a lot better because I'll like actually know the things that I like, the things that I believe in. So I'll have that intrinsic value starting to develop over time. In addition, I'll like see my own worth and my own value through this process so that I'll feel more grounded and more strong in myself when I'm around other people. So now for building consistency and discovering my voice, there's a couple new mindset shifts or approaches that I'm taking moving forward. The first one is a concept called the architect versus the archaeologist. And I actually technically got this from Aprilynne Alter's Twitter thread on a 40-point summary on Abdaal's part-time YouTuber course. So there's a link to that in the description as well if you want to check it out. There's two roles. You have the architect role and the archaeologist role. And the architect is someone who plans, and the archaeologist is someone who uncovers. And I'm sort of like interpreting this myself now. And this applies not just to YouTube, but like I'm seeing it where it applies in many areas of my life. The architect is someone who knows very clearly where they're going. They know what they want to create. They know what their message is, their branding is, their audience. They're able to map out the path, and then they're able to strategically create things, videos like this, or taking certain actions or reaching out to specific people, building different businesses that help them to express that brand, that message, speak to that audience. Very strategic, and they know where they're going, and they're creating these things to support that direction. The archaeologist, however, is someone probably like me that doesn't really know what their niche is, and it's more about an uncovery process. There's a lot of experimentation, there's a lot of adventure, there's a lot of digging through things to find what the niche is, or the message, or the purpose. And for myself, that is absolutely the approach I'm taking to YouTube right now. The archaeologist is going to try these different things until something starts to bubble up. But for now, as an archaeologist, I'm just trying a bunch of things, seeing what things resonate for me and what things resonate for you, and getting more clarity through experience and experimentation on what it is that does resonate. And so the next component of this comes from one of our members in the Creator Coalition. Her name is Ariel, and she was sharing this sort of approach for me when I was talking about wanting to be more consistent and post more often, instead of taking 3 or 4 months to make a single simple video. And the prospect of creating weekly on YouTube came up.
What if there was certain videos that are the high quality ones, but then in between there are little ones that's just oh, that's an update, and it's not high quality. It's just here I am, I have this update, but then there are also really high quality ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
I like
consistency
that.
builds, because I find with some content creators, I love going back in there on their YouTube and looking up old stuff that was
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote not the best quality, because then I get to know them better. They're just like me. They're talking about this thing. They're talking about their struggle. People want to see that mess as well,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is just me. What's the snapshot of me every whatever day? What was on my mind? Okay, there's that little short snippet, and I'm having this moment. I want to share this thing on my mind right now.
I really appreciate that perspective. The click for me, I think, was focusing on consistency and quality can coexist, but it's okay to focus on quality sometimes, but still keep consistency across the board the entire time. So having the idea of uh, still do your higher quality videos, let those kind of come organically, but then to let the time in between be the quote unquote less lower quality videos, but might be higher quality in terms of human connection. So I appreciate that. Thank you. She invited me to think more about creating every single week. I'm constantly in video creation mode, and my skills are going to improve, my consistency is going to improve, and my mind is going to be more in this space. And this type of skill set, I believe, will transfer over into other areas of my life. So if I lower the bar significantly enough for me to post regularly, then I'm going to get more experience and more exposure to this. I will now get to experiment with a lot more things. I'll be able to get through more ideas and be able to try different B-roll things, different cinematic things, or different lighting and different audio, and all these different things. Instead of thinking about what's the next best video I can make and then spending 3 or 4 months in that space, I could get through 12 concepts or 12 ideas or 12 new ways to level up my video just a tiny bit, and I'll have a better sense of, I like this topic, I absolutely hate this topic, I actually really like doing it this way, and I'll be able to either zero in on the topics that I really, really like, all these different things that I could now go into just as a result of making one video for this 1 week and this 7-day deadline window instead of taking 4 months to make it. I digress. And the third and final part of my new shift and new approach into creating consistently is just voluntarily taking this on. Instead of approaching it like this sort of obligation, I have to make weekly videos, I could choose 2 weeks, I could choose a month, it doesn't matter necessarily the amount. I don't want to worry about, will the Creator Coalition think well of it? I don't want to worry about if the other people in the house think it's a great idea. I don't even want to, nothing. It has to be an internal decision. If I can make this decision and not tell anyone and still feel good about it, then I feel like I'm on the right track. But oftentimes I'll find that I want to make a decision and then I immediately want to start telling other people about it. That's when it becomes a yellow flag or a red flag. That's either a cause to pause for maybe this isn't the right idea, or maybe I just need to sit with it long enough and not tell anyone. Maybe then I can start to develop that internal motivation. And if I can sit with that sort of, I'm not allowed to tell anyone and only Austin gets to know, then I'm more likely to actually stick with it. And this is a big element that I'm trying to carry forward with myself into my life, because it's not something that I've really embraced before very well. Here's the battle plan moving forward. Number 1 is having a weekly release cadence on YouTube. This is going to force me to lower my standards in such a way that I'm able to make things more often, and I'll get to experiment with simpler, more straightforward videos, and then kind of experimenting with different video concepts as I go. The second part, which supports the first, is having a regular time every single day or specific days of the week to dedicate to creating videos in some shape or form. Then I will make consistent progress over the course of the week so that I can make more consistent videos on a regular basis. And on the nature of keeping it simple, I'm just going to leave it at those two. Striving for a weekly cadence, which requires me to show up every single day for the thing that I want to do. The question I have for you is, what would you like to be more consistent in? I appreciate you watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. In terms, ooh, that's coming later, never mind. So we're gonna save that part, so ignore me. And if I'm not careful, this entire video is gonna go down a completely different tangent. It's gonna be really long.